It is time. It's time to stop hiding. It's time to stand up. It's time for Christians to come together, to share their testimony, and to inspire hope, to join their brothers and sisters as we answer the call. Folks, it is absolutely time, now more than ever, to wake up the lions. And I have an absolute lion with me today. Let me just tell you. This guy is tenacious as all get out. Just us getting together was a lesson in tenacity. Trying to get our schedules right. He's busy. I'm busy. It's been crazy. This guy has a ton that he's done and he's accomplished. He's married. He's got three kids and 50 years in the ministry. He's ministered in 59 states and 20 countries, folks. This gentleman has earned his stripes. He's the author of the book, When the Doctors Say No, God Says Yes. And he's also the host of the hit podcast, God Says Yes, with David Ebel. Guess what? Our guest today, please welcome David W. Ebel. David, how you doing, brother?
I'm great. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to have you. We could start in a million different spots, but I'm just going to kind of turn this over. You and I, even just in conversation in the pre-interview, we were going over parts of your story where I'm already got like 15 questions. Brother, what is your faith story, my friend? And how did God come into your life and what impact does that have with you?
Well, I'm going to try to do this Reader's Digest version at the beginning.
Okay.
Um, my my mom was one of six children who became orphaned when she was 6 years old in a coal camp in Kentucky during the Depression.
Wow.
So she was moved to wherever they could feed her and wasn't allowed to go to school because there was no money for shoes. So she became the house person, feeding the eight people at the table, taking care of the 1 pound preemie baby that there was a baby born and the woman died at birth. And my 8-year-old mother had to take care of that baby and clean the house. And there was no air conditioning in the coal camp. So when the train went by with all the coal, the filth went in the house and she got to clean that too.
Wow.
So abuse was not unheard of. As a matter of fact, she didn't even know there was such a thing. She thought everybody was treated that way. And by the time
Man.
she was 16, she had been shipped to Michigan to a wealthy aunt who had no children because she could feed her. And she met my dad, and my dad and my mom. My dad had just joined the Army Air Corps, and so she became a 16-year-old war bride. And it wasn't that long after that she was 8 months pregnant and slipped on some ice and lost that baby. And with her background of abandonment, abuse, and whatever, she never quite completely was able to bounce back. The next child was great. Then the one after that lasted 4 years, and then all of a sudden, they thought she had sniffles. 2 weeks later, she had polio of the brain, and she was gone before the Salk vaccine showed up.
Wow.
And my mom was just beyond devastated, had a nervous breakdown. And at the funeral, the pastor that was there said that the sins of the parents fall on the children, and indicated that the 4-year-old girl died of polio because my parents weren't godly enough.
I mean, to even utter those words, I can't even imagine that.
Well, neither did the denomination, and they terminated him on the spot.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They took away his ordination, but they didn't do the final step, which is take him out and hand out vegetables and let people pillar him, because he deserves something more than just termination, because there was nothing in the denomination to teach restorative work to people who've been abused by the church.
Man.
So my parents shut God out of their existence, and I was raised without it. I honestly, at 20 years old, did not know God's last name wasn't Dan, which is
Okay.
that's horrific,
Yeah,
but
it is.
it was how it was. But I was born with birth defects, and I was choking to death. And after my sister had just died, my mom grabbed the doctor by the shirt and says, "Look, if he dies, you die. Fix him." Well, about a half an hour later, according to my mom, he came back shaking like crazy and saying, "Look, we got this experiment. Is he going to die without it? Yeah, then do it, stupid." So they did it. And 4 months later, it became illegal to do that experiment on human beings. because the side effects were that bad.
Wow.
Sterility, dwarfism, birth birth defects of the entire spinal structure, and dead by 20 guaranteed.
My goodness.
So I was the smallest child in the school till 12th grade.
Okay.
Couldn't do sports, couldn't do anything physical. Um, Bullied probably every other day for 12 years.
Sure.
And I read because I could do the other things, which meant my vocabulary grew, which meant that made me even more ostracized because, you know, I would use big words and they think I was cussing at them and beat on me some more. And so at 6 years old, I developed juvenile rheumatoid arthritis.
Okay.
Arthritis is a curse to our entire family generationally. And I mean, there's not even a niece and nephew, all three of my kids, it's everywhere. And so I just realized I was going to be in pain. And I had a multi-year pity party between the bullying and being the smallest and everything else.
Yeah.
And I was offered a full ride scholarship from the disability people from our state if I would just go and find something I could do. And a year and a half into trying to hide all my pain and to make everybody think I was just like everybody else, I had a nervous breakdown. I melted down and just sitting in the student union, I just fell apart completely. And the state came in with the counselors and offered me a 15-year deal. I had 15 years to come back and claim my scholarship once I got well.
Wow. Okay.
Unfortunately, the sad part of that was that in that period of time, I had, I was so out of it, depressed wise, that I could not even imagine being okay. So I thought that what they said, you have need to go home, that I was being fired from school, that I was a loser, that I couldn't even do school. And I beat myself up uncontrollably and began a 3-year spiral with drinking, alcoholism. My mom died an alcoholic. Her whole family is just full of them. And once I had my first drink, I couldn't stop. And then once I realized I was an alcoholic and how that guilt, I started self-medicating with drugs. And about 8 months before the day I gave my life to God, I finished my fourth suicide attempt.
My goodness.
Drove the day before Christmas in Michigan. I drove a car off of a bridge at 100 miles an hour into a river.
Wow.
Unfortunately, because it's Michigan and everything was frozen solid, so there was no water at the end in the bottom of the river. So I ripped a tree out by the roots. They towed my car out and I drove it home,
Oh my gosh.
going loser, 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 loser. You can't even kill yourself. So I think that's by the time the next morning woke up, I was already planning how I was going to finish it with a gun. And I worked multiple jobs because I had to have enough money coming in for all the alcohol. And one of the places I worked, I carved candles at a commune store for hippies. Hey, I had an 18-inch afro and I was 82 pounds. No perm.
Wow. All
Yeah.
right.
And so I fit right in. I was like a bookend. And well, everybody else that was carving the candles on their shift was making those curly, swirly candles that grandmas love. I was making skulls dripping blood and brains melting and all the stuff that were representations of how I felt. But because we were in such a weird place, they wouldn't even let them cool before they were trying to buy them out from under me.
Goodness.
So, I was the boss's favorite because I was making money hand over fist. And so this girl comes in and starts telling me about Jesus. And I tried everything I could besides shooting her to get rid of her. I mean, I just ran her off and she wouldn't be run off. She wouldn't take it. She wouldn't. And finally, she saw me drawing and she said, "What are you drawing?" I said, "You don't want to know." I wouldn't be asking if I didn't want to know. So she took the paper and flipped it around. And there, to her shock and horror, was a tree with the roots of the tree like a hand growing into the dirt, and the branches were up like gnarled hands, holding skulls, dripping blood, evil eyes, very, very demonic. And all the gravestones had my name on them and Saturday's date, and this was Tuesday. She said, "What is this all about?" I said, "Well, this world sucks. There's nothing worth me being here for. So Saturday, I finished this nightmare." Well, she was a new Christian, so her theology went about as short as her little pinky. So she knew she was way out of her league. So she brought me to church. And when I went to church, I went because she was cute.
That's a
And
good reason.
that's the only reason.
God
And
knows what he's doing.
I walked in and said, "Mom, I'm going to church." And she said, "David, you do not want to go there. I grew up being forced to go there. They swing from the chandeliers, they roll on the floors, they dance like chickens. You don't want to go there." And I said, "I'm going." She said, "You're going to be sorry." So, based on that advice, I went and got as drunk as I've ever been. And I took all the drugs I had for a month at one time and picked her up, drove to church. And by the time we got to the church parking lot, it all hit. I couldn't find automatic on my shift. And on my automatic shift, I couldn't find park. I couldn't even find the keys. So she had to park the car for me and scoop me out. And at 82 pounds, it wasn't much scooping. And she brought me into the church, and the people looked around, and right in front of me there, "Oh my God, what is that doing in our building? We have a witnessing team in a coffee house. What is that doing near our children? Keep him away from our families." And I turned to her and said, "Look, lady, I'm in the wrong place." She said, "No, they're in the wrong place. This is supposed to be a place of hope. I don't know why they're here." And I couldn't argue with her, and I couldn't go anywhere because I was too loaded to walk. So she planted me in a pew, and we stayed in that spot for the whole service. When they sang, I sang. I could read music, so I could sing. So I picked up the book and sang along. I have no idea what I was singing, but I like to sing, so I sang along. Then the preaching happened, and the guy was about my age. He was about 20, 21, and he was the youth pastor. And it was his final sermon before he was moving to another church that was bigger. So I have no idea what he said, but I know that by the time he was done preaching, my whole body was shaking just like I was having a seizure. And the people in the back in this little one-room schoolhouse converted into a church with the hardwood floors and the hardwood pews. The pews were going pop, 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 pop on the floor, and the people in the back going shh, like I had control over this. And finally, he said, with every eye closed and no one looking around, "If you need Jesus, raise your hand." And she heard me say, "Do I? Don't I? I don't know what I want." But my hand went up. And I didn't raise it. It just went up. When I realized them mean people in the back, but I'm from Detroit, mean people, you don't go near them. So I was expecting to get jumped. So I tried to get my hand down. As soon as he went down, he said, "Thank you, brother." I sat on the hand for the rest of church. And he said, "If you need Jesus, no, everyone's not looking around. Come up here and I'll pray with you." Well, I looked up front, and there he was in the center, and to his immediate right was the emergency exit. In my sobering state, I thought maybe I could make it out that door if I hurried. So I wobbled my way to the front, and before I could get to make that right turn, he hopped over the pulpit. 6'8", 280,
Wow.
5'2", 5'3", 82 pounds. He says, "Can I show you something?" I said, "Just don't hit me." And he opens up the Bible and says, "Read, whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved." And I said, "What is that to me?" And he looks me in the eye and says, "God knows about your birth defects. He knows about the arthritis and the pain you're always in. He knows that you have a hemorrhaging ulcer bleeding out of both ends. You've told no one." Lists off my entire life like he's reading it off a script. No one in the room knows my name. The girl just knows me as Dave. That's all that she knew about me. And all of a sudden, when he's done, I'm just in tears. I'm so overwhelmed. I don't know what overwhelmed could be defined as. And I said, "So what do I do with that?" He said, "This is called an altar. Over there, those two guys, they're praying. Spot over here with nobody. Kneel there and cry out to the Lord." Okay. Well, I looked around and it was a little Pentecostal church. Not that I knew what that was. And they were screaming, Hallelujah, thank you, Jesus. So I thought that's how you prayed. So I screamed at the top of my lungs, Jesus, if you're real, I give you 6 months to prove yourself. If you're real, I will live for you with all my life. And if not, I know where the gun is. And God went, and I was sober. Sober as the day I was born. My pain decreased by 50% suddenly. And then I had this urge to ask God to forgive me for everything, to apologize. I didn't have any theology to tell me about it. I just knew I had to do it. So I'm screaming out times, dates, and places and bad things I've done. And the church empties out so the kids don't hear it like lightning. It's like free color or come this way. And they ran out the back door, man. They were gone. And when I was done, I felt like a balloon that let all the air out and I was laying there flat. I felt clean and forgiven and loved and accepted. I felt like I belonged for the first time in my 20 years.
Wow.
And I just laid there in hands raised, crying like a baby. All my hair being so covered between the tears and the snot, my hair was just looked like a poodle in a rain. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And I just laid there on the floor on my back, just loving God out loud. And this voice comes. And I'm looking around, and the voice is my son David, and I'm looking, there's no one there. Nobody even close to me. And the voice is my son David, I've called you with an everlasting love, and I've called you to preach my word. I've called you to love my people and preach my word. And if you'll love my people and preach my word, I will change thousands of lives. If you will love my people and preach my word, I will change hundreds of thousands of lives. Will you love my people? Yes, sir. Will you preach? I said, I don't know how. Teach me how and I'll do it. And the voice went away and calm hit me. And those two young hippies that got saved that were on the other side screaming walked over and said, Hi, I'm Gary. I'm Tony. You belong to us now. We're going to teach you how to live for God. Long hippie haircuts, goatees, and beards. One guy had an embroidered rooster on his bib overalls. And these are the guys who are going to teach me how to live for God. And I'm thinking, I'm on drugs. No, I'm not. No, this is worse. I'm sober and this is happening.
Yeah.
So they scooped me up and brought me in the back, and they were having a farewell for the guy that was leaving. So three-quarters of the room celebrated. They warmed and hugged and patted and encouraged. And the other third quarter, whatever it was, pulled to the other side of the room and wouldn't let their family near me.
Man.
And then that same voice that talked to me out in the chapel said, Don't worry about them. They belong to me. They're my problem. You just worry about me. And that's how it's been for the last since 1973. I don't worry about them. I just worry about who God puts in my face. And I love them, period. I don't care what their building is. I don't care what their denominational flavor is. If they'll let me share the love of God and how to find him personally, then I belong.
Wow, that is quite a story, brother.
Yeah.
My
If I didn't live
gosh.
it, I wouldn't believe it.
Holy cow. I mean, as you look back, I mean, I would think that you can spot a whole bunch of places where he interacted and interceded and, kept you from
Oh, yeah.
succeeding at killing yourself and somehow hooked you up with this lady who brought you to church. And, what's that been like? The looking back and realizing, that he was there with you the whole time, leading you to that spot.
Well, it was clear within 24 hours that God had prevented me from killing myself.
Yeah.
I knew that. I didn't know how I knew it, but I knew it. It was as clear as I woke up in the morning and I was awake. I didn't have to be told. I just knew.
Yeah. Wow.
So screen has frozen.
Yep. Hey, lost you for a minute, but we got you back. All
Yeah.
right.
So anyhow, the short of it is that I jumped off the cliff of faith and never looked back. That's May 2nd, 1973, 9:15 p.m.
Goodness gracious. You know
But
exactly when it was.
so I am a year after I got saved. I met my wife and we married. I met her in February, took her to church in March, and married her in June.
You weren't wasting any time.
Well, God called her before he called me. She gave her heart to Jesus when she was 14. So she was much more stabilized than I was at 20.
Gotcha.
So at 21, when we married, she actually was the more mature Christian of the two.
Excellent. How long you guys
And
been
I
together
would
then?
admit 51 years.
Congratulations on that. I mean, that's fantastic. My goodness.
And at 16, they tested me as part of the qualifications to get the handicap scholarship. They tested me even down to sperm count.
Wow.
1970, this was 1970. The rules, the rules of engagement were different.
Right. Yeah. I mean, why would they
So
want to know
they
that?
because the science had already told them I couldn't have kids. They just had to prove it,
I see.
and they proved it. Told me I didn't have to worry about little swimmers because they weren't happening. And so when we married, the girl who brought me to church came to our wedding,
Cool. Very cool.
and she and her husband now have been friends of ours for almost 50 years.
Nice.
That's a God moment.
Yeah, it is.
But we ended up after we'd been married about three years, a little more. We all of a sudden knew in our hearts we wanted children, and her body was fine. It wasn't her plumbing that was the problem.
Mhm.
So we laid down and we laid hands on each other's tummies and prayed that God would fix whatever was broken, that we were going to have children because He gave them or we weren't having them, but we were expecting to have children. 4 months later, she was pregnant.
Man. All right.
So we have three children, nine grandchildren, and I'm the only one out of the experiment who lived past 20.
Goodness.
Thousands of others had the experiment. None of them lived past 20.
You're a miracle, brother.
I kind of give God credit for stacks of them.
At this point, I can see why.
Yeah,
My goodness
and the
gracious.
thing, but because of that, my heart was broken for kids who didn't know who Jesus was. Because I knew that I knew that I knew that my life would have been hell had I known that God was real and that I had hope. And no one had ever told me.
My goodness.
So they did a vacation school. They brought in this couple of ladies out of someplace in the South who dressed as cowgirls, and they did the Bible school. One and two and three and four, Jesus loves you even more. And it was in Michigan. It was like, why are we here? It was just, but that's who they brought. And so one after we did the thing, we went out to eat with them. And I said, so who, you said you have a clown the last night. And she said, yeah. I said, who does that happen? She says, well, we draw straws and the loser has to put on makeup and do it. I said, so neither one want to do it? Oh no, it's horrible. So I said, get a picture. She showed me. They take white shoe polish and paint their faces, take red mess lipstick and put it around their eyes, and black around the rest of their face. Now, my background was theater in college. Those are the colors you place in those places to show demonic.
Okay. Yeah.
And they
Right.
were going to the end of their week was to have this demonic thing giving out the victory toys for the end of a week of bringing kids to church. And it you I'm sorry, but you could have thrown a bucket of dirty water on me and I would have been less shocked. Because the thing I figured out right away after I got saved is that either God gets all of you or he gets none of you.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
in my prayer life, there was I don't know how to call it, slogan, a passion, whatever. There was this little challenge that hit me, and it's even in my book. It says, um, God didn't send his second cousin Louis to the cross. He sent his best. How dare we offer less? And with that in mind, I volunteered to do the clown. Went to a costume shop and rented a costume, bought a beer, a wig, and did everything. And while I was waiting to go into the room to give out the prizes, these kids came to the door and bang on the side of the church. And when I was a little kid, when you wanted your friend to come out and play, you'd go to the door and you'd chant, David, David. So I'm standing there and all of a sudden you hear, clown, clown. And I'm going, wrong timing, kids. I'm waiting for this lady to call my, and I finally opened the door and they're standing there. We want to know what's going on. Tell us what's going on. We don't want to miss anything. So they said, well, come on in. We can't. Our parents say that it's the devil's church because it's not like our church, so we can't go in because the devil will jump all over us. You know,
Hmm.
sometimes our churches go a little crazy.
Yeah, sure.
And so they said, so what do you do? I said, I'll tell you what. And remember, I'm probably 3 months along in my faith. So, anything I tell them is going to be right on their level because that's about what I got.
Right.
Says, go home, go to the foot of your bed, get on your knees, and pray this prayer. Jesus, I want you to be real to me. I want to know you. I want you in my heart. I want you to show yourself to me so I know you're real. You'd have thought I was handing out $100 bills, man. They were gone like I could not believe how fast they were gone. And I'm still waiting, and they're still playing songs and talking and talking and talking. And I'm still waiting and waiting, and it's been 30, 40 minutes. I'm still waiting. And finally I hear clown, clown. And I go, "Ah." I open the door. Those 8 children are weeping outside that door, just sobbing. And I said, what's up? They said, we gave our hearts to Jesus and he's real. We can feel him. And they described an experience that I didn't even have the theological depth to explain to them. And God said, you keep telling me you'll do anything for me. Go love my children. So I found a guy who did balloon animals and had him teach me. A guy who did magic, and I turned it into gospel magic and did Bible stories with it. And every way I could reach somebody, storytelling, whatever it was, I started learning it. And then I realized I was in costume when it worked before. So I went out and had someone make me a costume and bought everything. And I did a one night kids crusade in the back room of that little church. It had 12 children come to know the Lord.
Wow.
God said, okay. I would say just okay. And so I took it seriously. And over the next 25 years, the clown took me to 49 states, 20 countries, on television, radio, video, magazines, newspapers. I mean, I was just trying to live through Detroit. I had no intention of all this stuff. I
Right.
just wanted to win some kids to Jesus. But it turned into a children and family evangelism ministry that we had entire families come to know Jesus in one night.
Yeah.
There was not a week I can remember in those 25 years that we didn't have at least 50 saved. Many there was times 400 and 500. I can't even keep me straight. There's no illusion here. I'm the mailman. I just deliver the message. Anything good that happens is because I didn't get my thumb in the middle of the print and smudge something. They got the whole message.
Yeah. Wow.
And so, for a guy that wasn't supposed to live, I've done all right.
I would say so. I mean, God had a specific purpose for you, for
Yeah.
sure. The
Yeah.
Now, I mean, you're out there at the beginning of discipleship. You're getting people to kind of open up that clenched fist, let that light in just a little bit so that, Jesus can slip through, and start impacting lives. I mean, 49 states of doing this, where you bring this to people, you make them happy, you connect that happiness with faith. And I mean, I would imagine you feel as though you've been called to do that.
Oh, without question. We created the Kids Celebration Circus, Heavenly Good Clean Fun, and that's what we took
Nice.
all over. And I mean, the only place I didn't go is South Dakota because no one invited me.
I was about to ask why.
That's the
So,
only reason, because I went wherever I was invited. I didn't, in my heart, I knew I didn't have the chance to say no.
gotcha.
If God opened the door, I ran through, then he let him figure it out.
Right.
And so, but the amazing thing to me was that I would take it to Jamaica, the Bahamas, and Bermuda, and India, and all kinds of places, and always got phenomenal reception.
Beautiful.
Now, if you see the picture behind me, I don't know if you can focus it, of the
Oh, yeah.
clown.
Hmm.
That's me as a Ringling Brothers master clown, certified by Ringling as the only Christian master clown in the world.
Oh, my goodness. So that's you behind you.
That's me.
I saw the picture as soon as he sat down. And I'm like, okay, where are we going with this? So,
That's me.
no kidding.
That's how I took the 49s. That's who I brought with me all over the world.
Goodness. Wow. The only Christian clown.
Uh, there's different levels of clowning,
Okay.
and within closed environment like dancing or anything else. And in the clowning world, there is what's called First of May, which means basically what I was the first time I put the makeup on, kind of gooey and goofy. You're wearing somebody's pajamas, just basically,
Okay.
thrift store clown. And then there's different levels, but the final level, which is one that you could send anywhere and they'd entertain. They would go to the circus, they go on television, that's the level called Master Clown. And the only one who can measure you and tell you what level you're at is another Ringling Clown who's already there. Ringling doesn't do it. They appoint these people who do it every day to be the ones who pick it.
Got it. Got it.
And so now these days, there's been several others that are Christian clowns that are ringling that way. But I stepped out in 2020, 2002 because my birth defects and everything else got so bad I couldn't keep up on the road.
Okay.
My body went on revolt, and I've had to do a lighter duty work ever since. But I mean, I can't complain. Shoot, I'm still here doing it. I'm just doing it lighter.
Yeah, you are. My gosh. Well, and that's how you did it. Now, when you left that, is that where the book comes in? Because you want to still
Well,
make that difference and kind of put that out there?
when I left the road,
Hmm.
by that point I had changed denominations to a group that I don't use the name of to the Salvation Army
Okay.
because they had structure and they believed in evangelism, they believed in discipleship, they believed in feeding, clothing, restoring, renewing, and rebuilding. And the other group was trying to go from being country to being big city. And so their vision and mine did not match.
Oh,
So I spent most of 20 some years in them swimming upstream, getting in trouble. So when the Salvation Army called and said, "You want to come out west from Atlanta to California and do what you're doing for us?" Within 2 weeks we had moved
wow.
and never looked back. But in the Salvation Army, when I went off the road, they moved me to a little town in the Central Valley of California that had they had volunteers doing social work for the Salvation Army for years and years and years. But now the volunteers' children were in their 60s. And they were saying either you said the town has grown. We weren't 8,000 anymore. We're at 75,000 and we need a Salvation Army. So they sent my wife and I through those years, but when we were in our younger years, we were discipled by a guy who church planted in the ghetto of Detroit.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So I learned how to church plant.
Okay.
Then from there, they moved me to Detroit, to Chicago, and I church planted there. And then I did all these other things. And so when they sent me to Turlock, California, um, yeah, it's a it's a Scandinavian name for a place with lots of greenery and water, and that's where I'll be planting and growing and stuff. Turlock. So they sent us there and said, do something. And in 6 years, we went from no address, no PO box, to 28,000 square feet of debt-free space with an Olympic gym with a padded floor, debt-free.
Wow. All right. So church planting is something that you were called to do as well. My goodness.
Obviously,
Yeah.
evangelism, church planning,
Right.
but everything is about love for me.
Okay.
Everything is. Uh, I remind people constantly, God created you independently, one of a kind, to love just the way you are. He didn't create, what you look like just so you look like him. He created you from the inside out so you are like him. And he loves you just the way you are. And with that in mind, then I share the gospel.
Hmm.
Because if you don't know you belong and you don't know that you're loved, why would you want anything else?
Yeah.
And
Good
if they
point.
met people who go to church and are miserable, why would they want more of that?
Yeah. That doesn't exactly say come hither. Come
Yeah.
join us.
So anyhow, the short of it is, one of the things when I did the clown work is one of my slogans that got really rang the bells in Georgia was, if you look like somebody who's been sucking marbles out of a gopher hole. And they'd laugh. I say, no, 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 no. What I don't mean that you look like, that sad look on your face makes you look like. And they'd all go, and the kids would laugh at him because it was all families. And the kids would point at the sad faces and everybody would laugh. And then for the rest of the program, they were all kids. And so by finding these little slogan pieces like that, that would just make people look in the mirror, a lot of the preconceived ideas went out the window. So we were able to gently and lovingly share the love of God. And they could go back to whatever building that they felt God sent them to. But for that week, they were mine. And I was going to make sure that they at least had a clear picture of the love of God.
Nice. Very nice. Okay. So, I mean, this is honestly quite a story in terms of what you've dealt with, and I'm reeling right now. I'm like, wow, okay. The We still haven't gotten to the book part. I mean, at some point, you decide you're going to write all this down and put it into book
No.
format.
Well, when I was on the road, at one point, I was coming home from a youth camp, and the turtle top on top of our van, full of puppet stuff, started bouncing off the car. So I had to pull over on the side of the road and tighten it down. And when I did, I blacked out and landed here on the side of the road on the concrete.
Oh my gosh.
And after an 18-minute seizure, the only one of my life, I ended up with brain damage and shattered bones in my neck, dislocated jaw, and because of the other birth defects, I shatter where you might break, I would shatter.
Okay.
And so it was I after that I couldn't type long enough to type a book. I would sit down to write a book and I get to page 28 and I was empty. Doesn't mean I had plenty to say,
Yeah.
but between the hands and the keyboard, there was a short circuit someplace. And I probably spent 25 years trying to get it out of my head and onto paper. And I finally just said, okay, God, I surrender. I'm not, if it's got to be, you've got to find a way. And that's when I found a piece of software from Microsoft called 365, which provides dictation into Microsoft Word.
Yep.
And within 3 months, I had a book.
Nice. Nice. Everything
And
finds you in his timing. So,
yeah, I just had to surrender.
yep.
I had to admit that I couldn't do it, and he could, and I'd let him.
Yeah. Sometimes he breaks us first. And in
Yeah,
your case,
I
it sounds
spent a
like he's
lot of
done
time.
that. Yeah.
I think I spent a lot of time in that position, mostly
Yeah.
broken,
Sounds like it. Yeah.
but it's okay. You don't hear any regret because there is none.
You feel like this whole thing has been broken with a purpose?
Yeah, I remember growing up that one of my mom was uh, became like a gourmet chef. She was never going to let us starve. So she became compulsive about cooking and she made everything. But she would make a kind of candy that was like a sheet of nuts and brown sugar and stuff. And when you would smack it on the table and it would go into a bunch of little pieces. And then it became good. And that one day when I was showing my kids how that worked with my wife making it, and I did that, I got this feeling, God saying, "Do you understand now?" Boom. And that's when the good stuff started.
Strong. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is stuff that's beyond me. I'm just here reporting the news.
Did you know, as you're going through this, is there a point where you become sort of self-aware, that God is walking you through this journey? Or is it all hindsight after the fact, going back and going,
Oh,
well,
no, no,
yep,
no.
that was God.
From the time that I got saved, there was never a day that I didn't know that He was there,
Nice.
right next to me.
Nice.
You know,
Okay.
when we were helping plant the church in the ghetto of Detroit, I opened up a Christian coffee house in a building that used to be a porno house.
Trying to exercise those demons out
Oh,
of there.
we had to cast them out.
I imagine.
They, no, there really was some, and we had to take a building that had been lived in by homeless for years and sanctify it with soap and water and then spirit.
Right.
But we did, and we saw about 400 people saved in about 4 years.
That's huge.
But out of that,
Wow.
it was in a corner where there was a stripper bar, a redneck bar, an ethnic bar. Everything was in one corner, like a five corner in the downtown. And one day, I was walking, trying to talk to somebody about Jesus, and we heard, "Beesh," and I went, "Uh-oh." They said, "Hit the ground." We hit the ground. There's seven. Before they knocked the building down, there was seven bullet holes in the wall right where I was supposed to be.
Oh, man.
That reaffirmed to me everything I needed to know for the rest of my life. If God wanted me dead, I'd have been dead. He
Yep.
didn't, so I'm just going to keep going. When I wake up in heaven, then I know I'm done.
Right on. Well, it was obviously saving you for something else.
Well, and I think that
So,
now that the book is done and I'm doing the podcast, since I can't run all over the world anymore, I started doing the podcast
okay.
because that gives me a chance to talk to listeners who have found themselves either abused, abandoned, betrayed, belittled, be something besides being good.
Yeah.
And to get them to understand that maybe the reason why they are where they are isn't the issue. The issue is, what do they want to be? Will they let God love them enough to figure out who else can they be? What else can happen with their life?
Yeah.
And that's why it's God says yes. Yes, I can beat this. Yes, I can get past being abused. Yes, all the things that we use as reasons to stop and give up are actually stepping stones toward what else God's got planned for us. And that to me is the most freeing thing in the world is when people find out that they're not condemned,
Hmm.
that they haven't committed the unpardonable sin, that they are who they are so that God can love them and take them from wherever they are, even if he's got to use a fire hose to get the filth off of them. Who they are didn't get ruined, just what they're swilling in right now is that bad. And he can take the blood that he shed on the cross. Jesus can wash away their sin, wash away the ugly, and begin the healing process from the inside out to make them who he always planned them to be.
Nice. The podcast, you've had some pretty powerful guests on there already with what you're doing. Is the purpose of the podcast to just spread the word and inspire and sort of motivate that type of thing? I mean, why do the podcast?
Well, I just explained it gentle. Let me try it again this way. If I booked you on my podcast, I would explain to you that our purpose for the hour that we're going to be together is that we want who you are, who you were, who you is, and who you believe God wants you to be.
I see. All right.
So we want people to start off with the fact that you didn't always come out with crystal clean gloves and doing it all right. You probably failed a few times and had some people really let you down or whatever, and it caused you to even doubt yourself, much less anybody else. And then if you've been church hurt, which is one of the most unfortunate kinds of hurt,
Right.
that even it's like salt in a wound. So if we can get people to realize that that's just where they are today, and by bringing people in who are articulate and have gone far enough that they're not living in the past and trying to spew the past on the listener,
Yeah.
but they're using it as a springboard to what they are in now. And as a result, what not only you can do, but the listener can do to get to where they could be something amazing.
Nice. Nice.
That's why there's a podcast.
I can appreciate that. I can see that in the messaging, from the different episodes and stuff too. So I think you're accomplishing your goal. Congratulations on that so far. It's
Thank you.
fairly new, but you're making some waves with it.
Yeah,
I can
we're
tell.
we're we're just finishing episode 12.
Nice. Nice.
And
Congratulations on all of that, on starting
thank
it and
you.
on getting to 12. That's great.
So down the road, if you feel that you would like to be one of my guests, you reach out to me.
Oh, of course. I would love to be one of your guests.
Then you send me a message when we're not talking, and so I remember it when we're.
I know how that is too.
Well, my favorite slogan I learned in Georgia is become so real to me. My forgetter's not getting better, but my remember's on strike.
I'm telling you, you got a line for everything, but
Well,
50 years in ministry will do that for you.
yeah, well, and I'm a storyteller. I can't. I always have been. I just have better stories now.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I love the mission that you're on. I really do, brother. And I mean, the story that got you there is obviously something. It really is something. You've been through it, but you're giving hope to people because you're telling them, look, if I can do this, so can you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that.
And, and we've had people contact us and say, 30 years ago you told your story, and I didn't think I'd ever get married because what was the use? My body won't produce children. No guy would want me. I've been told because I was infertile that I was a waste of human life. And I
Wow.
heard your story, and God sent me a husband, and we have 7 kids, and we're pastors.
Influence in lives. Gotta love that.
And I don't know the stuff that's happening. I'm just living it. It's all the glory of God. It's all God shining through us.
Yeah.
And
Taking that and being obedient like that, man, that's one of the hardest parts for people.
well, transparency is only hard when you're trying to control it.
I like that.
If you're transparent because you choose to be, then it's like taking a shower knowing that there's no shower curtain, but you still need to get clean. When you get to the point where you don't really care, you're just going to live it, then good stuff can happen. As long as you're trying to control things, you're in the way. I'll give you a real quick word picture that helps me understand it for people.
Go for it.
Okay, you're visiting me in Georgia. It's 112 degrees and 97% humidity. And out of kindness, you volunteer to mow my lawn. And you're about done with about a half an acre. And you're so parched, you're so thirsty, you would drink dirty water. You're just that thirsty. And Grandma comes out on the porch with this brand new, glorious big gallon of fresh lemonade. Lemon still floating on the top of it. Looking great. Are you thirsty?
Yes.
Okay. And so she says, I'm glad you're thirsty because here we go. And she takes this ball jar that's sitting there with nuts and bolts in it, shakes it out and pours your lemonade in it and says, here you go. Are you still thirsty?
I think so.
I think if you saw what was in that mug before they poured the lemonade, you'd have hesitation, wouldn't you?
Sure, of course.
Because the message isn't pure anymore.
Right.
And it's the same thing if at the soda, you grab a soda at McDonald's, you're that hot. I remember my son and my daughter in the back seat of the car, and I only had enough money for one drink, so they were sharing. And my son is a year older than my daughter, and so he thought he was a lot smarter. So he took a big drink and he handed it to her, and when she went to take her drink, he pinched the straw. I mean, you'd have thought her head was going to implode. She got mad. Oh my goodness, I had never seen her that mad. And then he took his hand off and said, "What?" And he took a drink. And they did that back and forth 3 times. Finally, I said, you're both grounded. What? You're only drinking water for the next 2 days. That's it. And then the older one, the son said, Dad, it's my fault. I said, yes, it is. But
Hmm.
it doesn't stop the fact that you could have quit and apologized or not done it 3 times. And then I turned to her and said, and you didn't have to have a temper tantrum and on the third time throw the cup across the back seat of the car. So you're both grounded
Yeah.
for water for 2 days. But many times the great message of God comes through that soda straw from that big mug of lemonade through the straw to the person drinking. And we get in the way because we have a better plan and pinch that straw and wonder why it doesn't get to them.
Nice.
Have you not seen or experienced someone pinching the straw before?
100%. Absolutely.
So it's a great word picture.
Yeah, it really is. It's a great analogy, man. Oh, that's awesome. That's wonderful. Oh my gosh. So people can tune into the podcast to hear more about this. You've got the book that people can pick up. How can they find the book, contact you, find out more about your mission and your movement and everything else
Oh,
you're doing here, David?
well, the book can be got picked up at Amazon or at lulu.com. Both
Okay.
places sell it. If you are interested in seeing what else I do, I have become an award-winning landscape photographer.
Nice. All right.
So my website is davidwebel.com.
Got it. Now, is
And
that just for the landscape photography, or is that all of it, everything that you do, all on the website?
all of it's mostly photography, but the links are there for the other parts, and we're working on it now. I've just upgraded the site, so I'm still adding some links and stuff.
Got it.
But we've got a very, very gifted guy that's been so kind as to get me off the hobbyist level book. I could do it, but it looked like a hobby guy did it,
Right.
and a professional took it over. And in just a couple of days, it went from, oh, where's the crayons to, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Everybody's got their gift, and I just got out of his way, and he did the gift.
That's a strong lesson. That really is a strong lesson to teach people. Get out of the way, be obedient, and let
Yeah.
God do it in his way, in his time.
Well, we don't all have the same gifts,
True.
but
Very true.
we all have the same desire to control the gift. We want to help, even when we shouldn't.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Any final piece of advice, any little takeaway, some words of wisdom you want to leave with our folks, as we kind of wrap this up?
Sure. I usually ask my guests to offer a golden nugget, something to take home and polish after they hang up.
Hmm.
So mine is don't try to be God's person.
Hmm.
If you're already his person, he made you to be his person. You don't have to try. You already are trying to qualify to be his person. People will say, well, I got to stop drinking, or I got to stop smoking, or I got to stop this, got to stop that. No, God will take you just as you are. Stupid, stinking, whatever it is. He'll take you just as you are. But if you really let him love you, he will love you enough that you can't stand who you are and you want to change. You want to please him. So lovingly, gently, he will help you have the courage and the strength to become who he always wanted you to be. But you don't have to perform to get there. You just have to be really willing to trust him.
Great message. Great message to leave us with. I appreciate that. And I'm sure everybody else does too. David, I'm telling you, amazing. Author of the book, When the Doctor Says No, God Says Yes. Host of the podcast, God Says Yes, with David Ebel. And also 50 years in ministry, father, husband, brother. I'm telling you, it's quite a story. You're inspiring everybody, and I just thank you for coming on here and telling your story the way you did, especially today. Thanks for being here, man.
Thank you. It's an honor and a privilege, and I give God all the glory.
100%. Absolutely. All right, folks, that's been another unbelievable episode of Wake Up the Lions. And I'm telling you, it is time. It's time to wake up the lions. And more than that, it's time for you to take your rightful place with your brothers and sisters and let them hear you roar. The world is ready. You're ready. You just have to believe it.